Hello, everyone, and welcome back finally to a good recording setup that'll at least help me function for the next few months, hopefully. I am so pissed off right now because I've been struggling to record this video for like the last 3 days. This is like the third or fourth or fifth take, and quite honestly, I've had so many fucking problems recording this that I'm just about ready to blow the brains out. It is so stupid. But I digress. Anyway, today we're going to be looking at something that I just wanted to cover because I just need an easy video to talk about this week, and I need to actually release content on the main channel and not just rely on shorts for the next, 3 weeks, which is what I've been doing. But in any case, today we're going to be looking at some PlayStation VR tweets because, yeah, the PlayStation VR is a good system and it's great, it's functional, it's nice, but there are problems with it, and there's problems that these PlayStation fanboys that are trying to make these comparisons are failing to understand. Let's talk about this then, shall we? So first up, we have, that's what I call a generational leap. This one's actually more of the tame few of them, but they do get progressively worse, so please keep that in mind. This one right here is by PS4 and yeah, obviously this is a very big generational leap. If you look at the PlayStation VR versus PlayStation VR2, yeah, it's a very night and day difference because, well, the PlayStation VR 1 had a lot of different other elements other than just the regular PlayStation VR setup, or the PlayStation VR 2 setup. I mean, again, this is literally like a generation or two after this whole verbacle, and in all honesty, it still baffles me how some people think, or at least say, that the PlayStation VR 2, like the PlayStation 5, was made for VR and stuff. I really don't think that's true. That was true. Yeah, they would have actually been the more powerful console to get the best performance out of it, because PlayStation doesn't have as many teraflops as the other one. And yeah, I know. Oh no, that means he's just a Xbox fanboy or something like that. It's like, no. Logistically, on paper, Xbox is the more powerful console, using all those things. Now, that doesn't mean that every game has to do that. No, definitely not. But being built from the ground up for VR, both of my computers that I have in front of me are built from the ground up for VR, 100%. But at the same time, it's just dumb. But, I mean, this is, again, one of the more based tweets, and yeah, he doesn't really say anything that's out of pocket or anything that's wrong, and yeah, definitely a generational leap in considering of at least cable management and things like that. Plus, again, the original PlayStation VR 1 was using old technology that was dated when the original technology came out. Not when the PlayStation VR came out, no. It was dated when the PlayStation Move came out, because it was trying to ape off of the Wii's success at the time. So it was just reusing old technology, which is why it was cheap. Next up is a lie tweet, apparently, because people are saying that this is actually a little bit more expensive. And yeah, in terms of expensive properties for how much it is for the whole package and what you get, $550 is not a lot when you consider it to be just the headset, because similar things in this price range also have other features or don't have some of the same features, but it's still tied to the PlayStation console. So unless you already have a PlayStation, unfortunately, it's not going to be good. Because for me, it would cost me $1,000 in order to do that, and with that same $1,000, I would much rather get, say, a Valve Index, because at least, yeah, I might not have eye tracking and stuff, but at least I have something that will last me a while, and that I can take to different systems or different computers later down the line. It's just, it just makes no sense. And people saying oh, it's like a third of the price of the highest end VR headsets. That's a dumb argument, because we'll get into that in a little bit. But let's go through a couple more of these. I just think that it started with the quote in the Xbox Ones by Mr. J-Dub. This is funny because, again, while Horizon Call of the Mountain got a 79, which I'm surprised that he's touting, because I thought that no game was good unless it's above an 80 or higher. And then there's Rise Son of Rome, which is from the Xbox One. From 10 years ago. Oh boy. Now, if you're saying that it's because this is like a PlayStation fanboy, which I guess is the dunk here, it's still not a dunk to see like, oh, this is like a 10-point difference here, because I know what another 10-point difference is, ish, or around that area. Call it a mountain and, well, a little special surprise for later. We'll save that tweet for another time. Next up is a $530, and this base response right here is, I can think of many things I'd rather do with $500, and this guy's like buying an Xbox with less exclusives after 2 years? I mean, for 500 pounds, again, I say dollars because I'm American, but for 500 pounds, you could probably just get an Xbox One S. Yeah, it's less powerful, but you could still play a lot of the same games and stuff on it and get Game Pass for like a year or two. Or maybe not a year or two, but like $300. So you'd be able to save around $200, $190 for that stuff. Something like that, you know. High-end VR for consoles too expensive. We have a system for you, and then he points out an Xbox One. This is just, again, a dated thing, and if you meant to say like Xbox Series S or X or something like that, they don't have it. And yeah, I will say console VR can be good if done properly. But if Sony doesn't smell the money and say put out a patch to allow PlayStation's to allow their headset to be also used on a PC, I will eat my hat if that's correct. But if it's the opposite and you can use it on a PC, but I think that would make a lot of the PlayStation Elite jelly. And here we are, a few tweets that I managed to find about people comparing this to the highest end PC VR headset, and yet they don't fucking understand anything. Why? Because the highest end PC VR headset that they're using is the Meta Quest Pro. To any of the people who know me and the VR stuff that I cover, the Quest Pro being at $1,500 sucks because it's not just a PC VR headset, but it's also a standalone headset with like a bunch of features and stuff. So no, it's not a fair comparison, because at least at the $1,500, you get a standalone headset that you can just use out of the box pretty much right out of the gate and not need any sort of fucking anything for, you know, you might just need your phone and that's it. Maybe not even that. So you're comparing a headset that is tethered to a console lifespan in comparison to a headset that has no console lifespan, can work on its own or with a PC, has backwards compatibility, at least in the controllers, to be used with your Quest 2, and has all the same features as the PlayStation VR2. But at the same time, the only thing that the PlayStation VR2 might have over the Quest Pro is like better finger tracking, and maybe the controllers feel nicer. But at the same time, you can hook this thing up to virtually anything having to do with the computer and it will still function. So no, this is not a fair comparison, because while the Meta Quest Pro is more expensive, you get a lot more for your money. It's just not a significant amount to justify certain payments, because this is more of a prosumer headset rather than a consumer headset. If you want to go and learn more information about this, I would definitely recommend checking out Thrill Seeker. Does great work, amazing work, stuff like that. But not a fair comparison at all, because they're not even in the same price range or going for the same market share. And of course, there's also the comparison JDub then makes about the HTC Vive Pro 2 being $1,600. Again, this is not a fair comparison because the HTC Vive Pro 2 is more of a prosumer headset and has a lot more features than the PlayStation VR2 and can be used for a lot longer. It's not tethered to the lifespan of a console like I was saying. VR is niche and overrated. Again, another J-Dub tweet. I mean, it is niche. It's a little bit overrated in some capacities, but at the same time, this is not edgy. PlayStation VR2. Okay, PlayStation VR2 versus Quest 2. This one is interesting to me because, yes, the PlayStation 2 does look really nice. And again, this is another more based and fair comparison. They do look really, really good. And again, the PlayStation VR2 is $550 all on its own, and you get graphics like that. But the Oculus Quest 2 itself is a standalone headset, and you get graphics like that. So it makes more sense. Plus, again, it's less expensive. But again, it's slightly odd because at the same time, you still have to, if you don't already own a PlayStation, which I know PlayStation fans are like, oh, who doesn't own a PlayStation? Everyone owns a PlayStation already because it's the most selling console ever. Yeah, certainly. I don't own a PlayStation because I don't feel the need to buy an entirely new platform or to buy a new headset or something like that. And again, as far as we know, for right now, there is no first party or there is no way to get your PlayStation VR working on your computer. If there was that, and there was like a simple software upgrade, they would probably double their market and maybe even have a lot more people buying their headsets. I don't know, this seems like a cool thing to me. And the graphics and stuff, and it looks like true next gen. In all honesty, the game looks fine, looks cool. But the screenshot that I grabbed doesn't really do it justice. It does again an entire video. It's fine. It's not, at least for this game. I think the previous one where they compared the graphics to a Quest 2 was actually a bit more exposing worthy, but this is a fine one. Again, it's not much really to talk about in the back half of this thing, except for this. Next week, we will be playing PlayStation VR2 with over 30 games, while the Xbox will still be trying to figure out what Forza and Starfield will be releasing in a cheap service. Considering that they will also be releasing on full price alongside when they're released on that cheap service, over 30 games. That's cute. Considering about 80 to 90-ish% of those games are old and, you know, games that have already released on the PC for VR. If I remember some of the ones off the list, there was like, I think Pavlov was one that was released on the PC, then released on the Quest Pro. And that kind of killed a lot of things. I can't think of anything else that off the top of my head of the list, but I know that there was at least some of them that I looked through this whole list, and I was like, that's on PC, that's on PC, that's on PC, that's on PC. Ooh, that one's actually on the console, but it's not looking at the best. That's on PC, that's on PC. That one actually looks really good, but it's exclusive to the console, and at the same time, there's still a lot of problems with it. So again, someone after that. And I think I wanted to end this video out with a couple of little tweets that I managed to find for this. For the first two is basically my whole stance in response to this, and these two tweets are pretty based for this. So, let's look at Lissy X to Eccles Elkjer first. He says, I will not be playing Horizon Call of the Mountain anytime soon. Don't get me wrong, I would love to play it, but I can't justify buying a PSVR2. The price is too much, especially for this economy, and for just one game. Also, PlayStation has not convinced me that VR2 will have a great future. Yeah, that's pretty much the entirety of this video, summed up in a nutshell in TLDR. The PlayStation VR2, does not convince me that the VR2 will have a substantial amount of support going into the future, or even beyond the current generation of games, or the current generation of the console. Because yeah, it's launching with 30 games, but what's to say that those are the only 30 games that we're ever going to get ever? Or anything like that. We don't know. We just know that it's launching with all these cool games. And of course, we come to the creme de la creme, and how everyone's already saying like, oh, Horizon Call of the Mountain is fucking great. Look at this meta score. yet forgetting that Halo Infinite has an 87 on Metacritic score, and they said that it was mid because it needs to be a 90 or higher. I guess the number just keeps on getting lower depending on the situation for the fanboys. So, a little bit of a caught in 4K moment there. But I think that we will end it off with a little bit of a interesting one to kind of call back to last week's Harmon Smith video. This one from the Red Dragon. Hogwarts Legacy first week digital sales in Europe were 56% higher than Elden Ring's physical sales were 80% higher. Now, I'm unsure if this is true. I know that the Red Dragon tends to keep on top of things that are like, Xbox and stuff, exclusives, but I found this one interesting because I still think that it's hilarious that he is talking about Elden Ring this late in the game and how its first week sales in comparison to Hogwarts Legacy. First of all, much like some of the other comparisons, they are not in the same league or going for the same market share value. Hogwarts Legacy is a pretty casual experience with a very well-known IP that's, it's meant for the more casual audience. So it's not necessarily going for the hardcore Souls-like genre that Elden Ring was going for. And even still, 56% higher and 80% higher can most likely be attributed to the massive controversy that has been surrounding it. And Elden Ring did have a controversy, but it was only after it kind of launched, and that kind of drove sales as well, because controversy tends to drive sales, because people talk about the game, people go to the game, and then people buy the game out of either hatred or love for it, or just sheer interest as to what the fuck this game's about, and they end up liking it, or they end up just not playing it, or whatever. That's still a sale. So yeah. Plus the 80% higher thing is also stupid, because they were touting that the physical sales of this game, of Elden Ring, were being outsold in Britain by, I think, Horizon Forbidden West or something like that. In any case, dumb opinion, but I wanted to throw a little Hogwarts Legacy in there because I think that it'll drive it through the algorithm just a little bit. But that's a little bonus for everyone else. Anyway, I think I kept you long enough. My name is GamePing21. Please like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And that's really all I have to say. Conclusion, PlayStation VR2 is coming out. And I am vehemently excited to see just how much copium these ponies are willing to huff to try to, justify these purchases. Because I don't know about you, but I feel like Sony did not drop this accordingly. I don't know. But anyway, my name is GamePing21. Please like, comment, favorite, and subscribe again. And peace. Your voice starts feeling like a waiter, scraping my mind against the cheese grater. Before you go, sir, you have to sign a waiver. That's alright, I'm aware of the danger. You wanna get away, you better get in line. Won't go another day of wasting any time. I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter. No!